Unnukut tungusan yorong megiti Igalaaq takuksarang metillugu ilai haqqassertartuuvunga ukuatapapipalliassima UCBC ukiortartumingaarluting taakwa pileriyoqattartut sanayeruyainila kiinnautaksikunarnaayarmingmata taakwa niuvaaqsaqiyaukkanneraanga tasanaukangiit piluartumi inuit taakwa kiinnautaksaqattarnaarluti tamatuminga atjigiingitu tamakwa haaqiksortaussimarorsimangmata gavamatoqakkunnut ukiaksaarsiutileritillugi kiinauinamungarpallianinginni unikkaanga sanayautillugiin CBC-kunningaartu Caitlin Jonas tamatuminga unikkaarnaangman
auqatnaaq akos mannaaq qaagugasaulertuni nutteqataartillugu aaruaamo quviagiarsaalaorsimayo qulittauyalernermi angeqqamoqqanitsuumeqquuinarilluniuk qawisaqattartoq atjigiingittuni imminu attuutisimayuni ilanginni nunavuummiutaunerilaursamayanganullu 1900s nginnillu inuit aullartitauqattalaorsimaninginni puvallugiartitaulluti pingasut ilangi peqataulaorsimammata
oqaqataqaloorsimagama ayakurunnit unikkautilaorsimalluningaru piusiuvaroorsimayumin tamanna aannernammarilaortu amisut innuin aktortaunningit pitjutigillugin innuin aullartitauqattalaorsimangmata ammaruttao ilangin innuin angerraminin qimaktauvakklutin
amisut inuit piuksarpangimmata sanaukanginni taimeeqatautuinnarmiyoroo qalluna nunangani sanaukarni niuvertauvakkilluti
and then
asuilaagli niuvertaukkannerluni akitunersammaringmun
Solo 1960 min $70 mo niuveangugiangalaorsimayo qinnuayoa aasivau titertugartavininga uppingua tavvani taqqimi niuveangulilaarmiyo $366,000 no Toronto akittorautipingani ilangilluunniit kiinauyami tavvanga pilaungittu kisaanili itsuarsiniu maligangagut asitsertautuinnaqaaqalertu titertuge sananguageillu niuveangukkanneraangata sanayuviniit kiinauyartaaqattalerluti 90 asingit nunalertuat taimaigermata William Hoffman angioqqaanguyoq kingarni qikertaalu pingannarpasingani kuapakkut sananguarpingani
tamanna pilluataulluni isimattiavallaaruuvong
oqartunilu naluneersitjutiikkuuq titerarsimayuinnaulaartu suurlukikku piyunnalaammangaata ammaluttau kikkutuinnarnu immikkulluunni niuveaqsaqarpattu qawisartaulaartu piluartumi ukiortartummi
We have challenges.
aksorunartorsiuqattarpuguk piliqateqartilluta sananguartini titertugartinillu taakkuak sananguartangi niuvereaqattaqattiguk ammalu akilertaujaraaqarpaklutit sananguarti titertugart teemannainnganulli piyariatuvong
kanatami ittarnisalerigikkuungit oqarsimayut nalunayautiikkuuq saqqitaulaartu maligalervirtuamit oqausiusamalerpata asitsertaunearningit ullormissuli oqarsimangittu maannakku Caitlin Jonas CBC pivalliayut eqalunni
qoyannami Caitlin Jonas tamatuminga unikkaarunnarsisaaravin teemelasuri pivalliassimayuni taananu taangungittuugaruartillugu takuqattartilluta taakkuninga aarluni ukiortartumuarpalliaqattartuni kisaani tamakkuninga avatitinne qimequyiin aqqiksissimarermingmataila aqaagugasai taakkua katitaulluting silawasitjarpallianinga mariklugu unortut atjigiingittu aarlui tikippallianginnaqattajarluti ukiortartumuun Colin Garraway taanna ilinnaartitiimmarigiauyo ilinnaarverjuami Manitobami taanna ilinnaarsimaraungmat aarlui qanuipalliaqattarmangaata piluartumi mittimatariu silataane oqarsimangmat nanisilaortuvinigu maqqungni atjiungittuuriringnik atjigiingittuuvaktillugi tikippalliayut aarluin ukiortartumu imaminun
So this was really surprising for us.
uvattinnu kamanalaortu ungasigiiluamut tappangassainnaarsamaqattangittu ilangi kalaalli nunaaniingaarsimayut Norway mulluunni Iceland mulluunni nuusimayut sivuliviningita inivininginnu utertuti tukisinarssilluni teemaigunarillugillu pigialautinnata nanisilaorilluta nutaani aarluni qauyamayaungittuni nunartuarmi naluneertausimangittuni
tak giveaway o kaksimarang ming mata ko adjiging itut 220 aklu na saktaw simaraw kakluti makungu yan itako nga inyo yung nek tako hundreds amar thousands na saktaw valya katagarok tiliwi ukyok taktume suklo khilarugain kaulok ta khilarugain tako akvit Canada ukyok taktumot tikit takatang ningin yun o kaksi magilyo ni tako aklo angon na sudla ka katang matatama tuminga kaw yung marikaro tilyo ta kisya ni upyo sung nakaraw ng mata kanok tamakwa pero palya yun nang nasaw yun nang ningin yun ukyok taktum imakutiming ni Sri pivalya si mayone tak tawani tarok juang myo naronariyaw si marang ming mata tikatako yaw luting karak tikatako yaw luting imakutiming ni anak ang nangituri ko tamatuming anar na luting kanuing itarasung nang mopidyo takak luting tan isuruang ning anot imak taman na kawi saktaong mata ka tikatako yaw nginaraw kaksimayut tarok juang myo naronar tawayut 1 minute tikatilugutan na imak taman na imang na review imuro ko taw na pakigutisyo ko taw na paasingin no atok taw na pan Taw vanila hakik palyarang ming mata Hopedale in Newfoundland and Labrador min taw vani tako adjiging itu pirok say simarong matakinaw yan itaw nung akalduna na awlakon na kullugin tako magkuktut hakik katang mata ukyok taktume pingwak luting piyaka haktangin niglo hakik tok siutingin ning akik siutaw luting CBC kuning ato sindi arokot tamatumingaw ni karang nangman
Nuna siavumid, Hopedale minuna read, nutarmid annikittok viktang mata. Amisullu sokose kuvasum mariklutit, taakkoak pitartok titauninginni saariartok siutinin. Susan Peno, Sophia Hewitt, Ammaru Jonathan Guy, taakkoak kinungasurong mata ikayoktaw yumallutit, nuna ringnin Newfoundland min. Ammaru ikayokta karilawrit lutit, minor hockey league ngunaraktaw yunin. Amisut, ikayokuman nakaraukpon. Ammaru kataksuyin naksilawrilluti 1,100 pound min ukingin niling min hakirutinin.
Kikkurimaat pikkuriqquuqtut saariarvik taqarermat ammaru taakkoa haakkiqtoqsiuti tikipalliayut kikkurimaanu atuinnauyunnaqsingmat piluanguartut ilagiiktunu nirverunnangittuni neriungneqattaarpunga saariarvik atoqtaukannerunnarsininganu nunalittinni
Tuniyaw yun naksilaw mata hakirtoqsiutini nasangnin ammaru adjigingituni hakirtinu atoktaw qattariaringnin. Peno katudjakataqarun naksilaw ma PAL qangtasuririyikunginnin. Akakangittongmit naksiujaw yun naksilawktun. Hopedale inui nunaringnu government kungi uqaqtut. Tamanna akuni utaqqariyaw simayo. Ammaru nunaringnin arenigiyaw mariklunim.
Asitjeqsertuarnaartoq upperusukpunga isumoqanuinningallu timiuqanuinningallu piusipaallernaartoq nunnalittinni piauyareaqallariktoq pikkulivunga qanoq quviasuutigingmangaat uqausikku uqauseriunnangippasaarakku
Taanna saariarvi ikummaqqutittiarikto taarsikaruartilluguk saariyaanginnaqunnaqulluging ammaru akilersortaungittunun ikayokti aurattiinga Alan Benson taanna aputaiyeqattartu qannilauqtillugu Peno quviasuktoq utaqqittiaqasuklunilu taakkua naksiutiyauyut tikittuinnauyunnaqullugi tavva CBC ukiortartumin pivalleessimayun sindiaruruvunga iqarungni
Kuyan namin sindi aroko ni kakon naksisaka bitamatuminga. Tay may lasiri pivaldes mayon itako mako angot pilirasi marong ming matako vesok viulungane tako pidyo sa riyaw luting. Ano kakjoa kataktilugo tako adjiging ityut so lokay aputin adjiging ituglunilay ayok sisimaylaw ming mata tawvane nunay lima kamisyonili. Albert Netzer kan oyariyo katrok sa mayuten akagoy na luting kauyumaraw ito kung taman na kami tuinaw na ang ninganing isumagsaksiyoklo nilo iminero kang nasunita na utang nakasugilo nito may yugiyaw yung apirilang ng manetzer may ikayokon ng mga ang ilektuvinek Netzer tan na pila kataw si makatarong maadjiging ito ni makong ni inong ni pila katakak si malune quvasugvinginnik quvasugvingmi ilangin nereqatiqarunniarlunili nereqati ginaroqtaqaruanginnik kisaanili taanna atjigiingittunik piliril simaraqorartilluginneqimik aattiviuyunnarsilaortuvini
Nirella saareamearluta imiella saareamearluta imigarmi amma utaqqitилluta maani quluanguloortu iglurtuata silataani teekanigu aumaaggertoqaqattarma kennikauta qaibluni pizzami iluittualungmi tunisibluni amma Gatorade takkua imigarni tunisilaarma quyanaruluyalaortu quyaliruluyalaortugu inulukta ikayoriartuuyalilaarmata
Albert Netzer, Ricky Isaruk, Amar Willie Adams, Pilarilaw matatamattuming aulurima unnuaruktarlu tumorsina sungnang mini. Ullumili adjiliorsissimayok, Johnny ang naituk, kuyannaminaksiutiyunarsilaqavi adjingwatiavallarung mi aksangnit, takwar ullurasaqiyaartuainiulluting. Adjingwaqaquvinilanak siujiviksauvaktugu takuksauquyarnik uvunga sukkayukkun qarasauyakunak siutiyunnartusi cbcnorth@cbc.ca silauqanuinnerinaartanganun assinitakugaarormilavun Meillä igarano qaqviksangan utikittarirmi katta iqqaitittiumavukutautukpaktuni CBC igarangmi qimequviksaukkannerunnaqattarma qarasauyakkut uvungaarluti cbc.ca/north CBC jamkulluunniit uvarmni YouTube-kun quyannamitaatukunnarsiqaugassi ilaiqaqqasertartuuvunga Happy New Year utilaarivukut naammaksingmikpa
Inuttitut atausiulugu uqausertaqangittuq sananermut uqarpattugu titirtugartuq atulaurtumit atuqunniirtumut anaanatsiama annaumanasuarnermi ilinniartisimajaanga niiqutiqaqaangalorsimayugunerumiagarni mirsugarnillu maannali sanauгакка takojiqaqarvinniippalirtut namituinna kisiani titirtugarsimajalimaakka tuqaangatillugit ilajaannu qitungaakka ilinniaqiaqasilaursimammata teemeemmanuttilaursimajugut kingarlut
Hangakuangiqalaaqita
tamanna inuusiqilaursimangitatinni inuusiqaliqpalliagutikisimajaput quviasuttungalu ukpiujunga qaumagijavunga quviasunnermut ammalutaarnesertunga quviasuttuq uppi
Pigiartittigianga qatiminiulluni kingeittisertugarnermut kuapakkungani qinnuajuaq aasiva qaujijautittivoq innuittitertuganginnik nunartualimaamut
Thanks for joining us. I'm Megan Roberts. The puck drops soon for a big showdown at the World Junior Hockey Championship. It's Canada versus the United States tonight in Ottawa, and that's also where we'll find the CBC's George Moratis. George, nice to see you there. Can you tee up tonight's game? What's at stake here?
Oh, so much is at stake, Megan. Bragging rights, for one, North American bragging rights. The Americans have recently said that they are the greatest hockey nation in the world, if you can believe it. Well, Team Canada might have something to say about that. Now, both teams have faced some adversity. Team Canada started the tournament as we had hoped. Gavin McKenna opened the scoring, and we beat Finland 4-0. All was right in the world. The next game against Latvia, not so much. The Latvians pull off the greatest upset in tournament history. They've just finished building the statue of that young Latvian goaltender. Canada, they lost to Latvia. That doesn't happen. It's never happened before. The Germans tried to do the same thing. Thankfully, that didn't happen. It's been very tense. But now Canada finds itself in a position where they still have a chance to come out on top of Group A against an American team with the identical record. They had started the tournament with 2 big wins, and then they lost to the Finns. That doesn't happen. So Canada against USA, New Year's Eve. I'm expecting some fireworks tonight in the nation's capital.
Yeah, I bet. And those bragging rights are, nothing that's not completely serious, George. We take it seriously here. You mentioned Gavin McKenna on Team Canada. We, of course, have met McKenna on this show before. Can you tell us more, though, about him and how he's doing this tournament so far?
Well, we've been talking about Gavin in the Yukon since he was 2 years old. There's a video of him skating around the Canada Game Center ice. He's skating faster than most beer league players, and that's not a dig at them. They've seen the video. They know. He's smiling. He's speeding away, and he's been doing that ever since. He was drafted first into the WHL as a 14-year-old. He won the Rookie of the Year the next year. This year, he's put up 60 points in 30 games. This is video of him scoring a hat trick to lead Canada to the gold medal at the Under-18 World Championships. But you know what's special about Gavin is he's the first Indigenous hockey player from the Yukon to be named to Team Canada. That's significant. I was talking to Peter Johnson, the Grand Chief of the Council of Yukon First Nations. He said watching Gavin and how he's inspired not just the next generation of First Nations hockey players, but the elders, the entire territory, and seeing what he's capable of doing now for the country, it's kind of like a fairy tale. And who knows, maybe tonight the fireworks will finally go off. That is Canada's offense that we're just waiting to explode. It's all happening in a couple of hours. It's very exciting. First place in Group A on the line. Gavin McKenna and Team Canada against the U.S. It's a great way to ring in the new year.
Absolutely, and I'm sure we'll all be keeping an eye on that. Thank you so much, George. That's the CBC's George Moratis live in Ottawa tonight. Now, in Newfoundland and Labrador, a group of fundraisers from down south are making sure young hockey players in Hopedale have the gear they need. Heidi Adder has that story.
The Nunatsiavut community of Hopedale has a new rink after years of work from the Hopedale Inuit community government. And now kids have all the gear they need to enjoy it. Susan Pinnell, Sophia Hewitt, and Jonathan Guy put out a call for donations around the island of Newfoundland. They partnered with minor hockey leagues, and people responded. All in all, the group gathered 1,100 pounds of gear.
I think everybody is really excited to get to use the rink for one, but then also to have some extra gear to hand around to families who don't necessarily have access to it. So I'm hoping that it, increases use of the rink for the community.
The donated gear includes helmets, sticks, pucks, skates, and pads. Pinnell partnered with PAL Airlines to ship it for free to the coast. The Hopedale Inuit community government says the new rink was a long time coming and is already beloved by the community.
It's going to make a huge difference, I believe, to the overall being and mental wellness to our community, which is so needed here. I mean, I'm just so excited. There's no words. I have no words to express how happy I am.
The rink includes professional lights so it can be used by kids late into the night. A group of volunteers led by Alan Vincent clear the ice after each snowfall. Pinnell is eagerly awaiting the rest of shipments to arrive. Heidi Adder, CBC News, Happy Valley, Goose Bay.
A new report on media communications in Canada outlines the risks that Starlink could pose to northern communities. The Global Media and Internet Concentration Project report was released this month. It details concerns about Elon Musk, the CEO of Starlink. But the head of a Canadian internet company says the researchers' worries are unfounded. The CBC's Jocelyn Chappelle reports.
Dwayne Winsek is a professor of journalism at Carleton University. He oversaw the research project. Winsek says Starlink's fast-growing presence in remote and rural communities could be troublesome in the future.
So I think he's an extremely dishonorable actor who's on an ideological and a political crusade, and he has shown no compunction to withhold or to temper his political ambitions and inclinations to proper business.
He said he's worried about Musk's involvement with the incoming Trump administration. He noted that Musk has already said that he will cut back services to Starlink's residential customers if that's necessary to meet the needs of its big customers. Those big customers include the U.S. Department of Defense. Jeff Phillip is the CEO of SSI Canada, an internet provider company that focuses on rural areas. He says the worries of the report are unwarranted.
I've spent 30 years trying to close the digital divide and, working with people at all levels of government to try to make this problem go away, and the solutions are there. But we run into these discussions that take away from the real challenges.
Philip grew up in Fort Providence and believes Starlink has been an important opportunity.
We can bring services, we can bring healthcare, education, literacy, job opportunities, art, culture, we can extend it.
Philip added that his company was one of the first to partner with Starlink. He says they are currently working with Musk's company, SpaceX, on emergency communication shelters for areas without cell service. Jocelyn Chappelle, CBC News, Yellowknife.
Visual artists could soon get royalties when their work is resold, and Inuit in particular could stand to benefit from that. The proposed changes were part of the federal government's fall economic statement. Samuel Watt explains.
Algonaut Eccles found her passion for parka making when she moved to Ottawa a few years back. It was her way of feeling closer to home. She explores themes that are personal to her: family, life in Nunavut, plus the Inuit who were sent to tuberculosis sanatoriums down south in the 1900s. They include 3 of her own family members.
I was talking to one of my aunts, and she was telling me this whole history, and it was heartbreaking because it impacted Inuit in so many different ways, not just for Inuit who were sent away, but Inuit who were left back home.
Like many Inuits, she says she often undervalues her creations. Then art buyers from down south pick them up.
And then it ends up getting resold for thousands of dollars.
She points to Kenwa Yuak Ashavak's 1960 print, The Enchanted Owl. It was originally retailed at $75, but it sold for a record $366,000 at a Toronto auction house earlier this month. Not that her family gets a cent from that though, but changes to copyright law could be coming to address that. They'll give artists a portion of the proceeds when their work is resold. 90 other countries have such a system already.
At the core of it, it's a very good idea.
But he says the proof will be in the details, things like who's eligible, plus how public and private sales will be tracked, especially in the north.
We have challenges working with our artists, when it comes to distribution of copyright, distribution of artist fees, those kinds of things.
Canadian Heritage says it will release details when the proposed changes are tabled in Parliament. There's no date set for that just yet. Samuel Watt, CBC News, Igalaaq.
In Whitehorse, recycling has been on many people's minds this year. The Yukon government started work to implement extended producer responsibility, a recycling policy that makes industry responsible when its products reach end of life. When it comes to people's day-to-day, though, there were big changes in 2024. And as Joseph Ho tells us, there are many more to come.
This room at Raven Recentr's facility used to be for secure shredding, but in 2025 it will open to the public as the organization's expanded secondhand store. Whether it's books or clothes, the store is a place to keep goods out of the landfill and the circular economy turning. It's also just one new initiative that Raven has planned for the new year.
So our bottle depot is our big core business, and so we've started a bag and tag program. So if you're coming in from the communities and you have lots of stuff and you have your shopping to do, you can bag your stuff and tag it, and then we would count that, and then we would call you when it's ready for your money to be picked up.
Raven also has plans for local businesses. It's going to offer to collect their bottles, making recycling more convenient. As a social enterprise, the organization also has a bottle drive to benefit community programs.
It's going to be a busy year, and we're excited about it.
You could also say that about the year that just passed. Raven stopped taking paper and plastic at its public drop-off in September, a move to get the Yukon government and City of Whitehorse to establish curbside recycling. That happened in December, with Whitehorse Blue Bin Recycling contracted to provide the service.
It has been quite the shift, and of course we started in December, our favorite time of the year with the darkness and the cold, but there's been some bumps in the road, but I think they're getting smoother by the day, so I'm pretty proud of our team and how we're doing so far.
Lang's service requires residents to separate paper from plastic and to clean containers. This all prevents contamination, which allows the company to have the best product possible. And the best product possible is the one that most likely gets reused and recycled.
And we're not out to make anybody's life hard, but the reason we separated is if you're going to do something, you may as well do it right.
Powell considers 2024 a success. Thanks to a partnership with a local business, Raven has started taking glass again. A glass-blowing studio turns bottles and jars into art. It's all part of Raven's goal to achieve a zero-waste society.
I think there's always room for improvement, but I think this is a big step that we just took with the recycling with Blue Box. But I think we can always look at things coming in packaging and materials, and so I think we can always improve.
Joseph Ho, CBC News, Whitehorse.
An aerator recently began adding oxygen into the water of Yellowknife's Frame Lake. The device was installed by Rio Tinto, and the ultimate goal of the project is to reintroduce fish to the long-dead lake. As the CBC's Nadir Hashmi reports, that could happen in 2026.
The aerator device is located off the shoreline near the Legislative Assembly. This project fulfills Rio Tinto's requirement to compensate for the loss of fish habitat caused by construction of its Divik diamond mine. The company says it will monitor the aerator and the lake over the next 2 winters and may consider reintroducing fish in the summer of 2026.
We want to at least watch it for 2 winters to make sure that it's working before we be comfortable taking the next steps. We would also have to go through some additional permitting steps prior to actually reintroducing fish.
Frame Lake has been fishless since at least the 1970s. Additionally, arsenic levels remain high in the water due to historic gold mining operations in the area. During winters, Sinclair says there is no oxygen in the lake for fish to survive.
Currently, every winter, once there's ice on Frame Lake, basically the oxygen is depleted in the water and it goes down to zero. So that, obviously creates conditions that would not be sustainable for fish populations.
The aerator was installed last summer. Although it is designed to not affect ice thickness, Sinclair asked the public to avoid approaching the device.
We do have a light and some other demarcation on it to make sure that people are aware, people can see it, particularly snowmobilers who might be going through the area.
Sinclair says the initial results on the aerator's winter performance will come next summer. Nadir Hashmi, CBC News, Yellowknife.
And if you're looking to see some fireworks tonight in the territories, Whitehorse will be putting on a display at Shipyards Park at 8 p.m. At the same time, 8 p.m., you can catch some in Yellowknife at Sambake Civic Plaza. And Iqaluit will have its firework display at the Deep Sea Port at 12 midnight. That is in Eastern Time. And that is Northbeat for tonight. For news anytime, go to cbc.ca/north. Thank you for watching. I'm Megan Roberts. Have a good night and Happy New Year.